In this report, I want to explain why help is wanted from overseas retirees. Something's been troubling me for a couple of years, and I want to get your advice about how to handle it. I already have about 80 retired cheap in paradise reports up on 𝗥𝗏𝗄𝐻, and there are about another 100 places around the world that I want to tell you about that I've already been to myself over the last 14 years. If I visited and filmed all of these places myself, it would take me another 8 years to get all the reports posted that I want to share with you if I did it all myself. However, there are already expats that have been living in most of these places for years. So about 2 years ago, I started thinking, is there a way that I could get other people involved in this process of filming and gathering data about my favorite places in the world to retire cheap? Since there are people in these places that I love, that love them as much as me, why do all the reports that we post online need to come from me? So I was thinking about creating a course maybe that teaches people how to film and gather data about my favorite places around the world and create retired cheap reports. Then 𝗥𝗏𝗄𝐻 would be able to provide more choices of places to retire cheap in paradise more quickly. Plus, if we could figure out a way that people already living in paradise locations could make extra money helping others settle in paradise, it could be a win-win situation for everybody. So I will share just a few ideas about how this could work, and then I'll wait for feedback from you, my family of listeners, to see if there's any interest in this concept. You may remember that about 1 year ago, I asked people if anyone would be interested in learning how to set up and start a hobby that makes money online. Well, I received overwhelming demand for a course, and so I did. That taught everything I know about how to make money with your hobby online, and I set that up. So I translated that demand into the hobby income course and gave it for free to my paid subscribers so they could set up a web page and a YouTube channel that makes money with their hobby. That was a lot of work, but I decided to give it to my paid subscribers for free for helping me make all of my dreams come true about traveling the world. So I was thinking, if enough of you would be interested in helping others retire in paradise for cheap, whether by taking phone calls about the city you live in, or responding to emails helping people who are arriving in your area of the world, or by providing information to people about what you know about your part of the world, I'd be willing to set up an infrastructure that created some sort of income stream to you based upon the demand for information you're willing to share with people. Okay, so let me give you some examples of how this might work and the types of information people are looking for around the world. But these examples are not intended to be limiting. I would be very interested in your ideas about what people moving overseas would need help with, especially if you think you could serve as a paid specialist in some new area I'm not thinking about yet. What about location specialists? If you have been living overseas in some part of the world and you were familiar with the neighborhoods and rents and may be able to help new people moving into that area find a place to stay, we could set up an application that people could use to set appointments to talk to you. You could set the times of days and the days of the week you'd be willing to receive calls, and the application would allow people to book appointments with you during your set hours. You would receive an email or a text when someone set an appointment, and you'd have to be available at the scheduled time to talk to people. People would then learn about you from the retired cheap reports that you would help create for that area. So they would know who you are because you would be a guest star in 𝗥𝗏𝗄𝐻, and there would be a contact me widget where they could schedule to talk with you in the retired cheap report for that area. What about visa specialists? If you have a knowledge of the visa process for a country, you could act as a visa consultant for people that have questions about the visa in that country. It could just be information you provide or possibly helping people complete the forms. We could publish a listing of specialists for each retired cheap country, and you could fill calls and emails that are generated from that specialist listing. The application would book calls from people according to the posted times that you have set, and you could get paid by the amount of time spent on the phone answering questions or by whatever documents you help process. Again, these are just ideas. What about healthcare or insurance specialists? If you are aware of various insurance policies that are available in the Paradise Country where you have retired and you are willing to keep current on evolving insurance choices and help people learn about which are the best for their age and their condition, the application would book calls from people according to the posted times, and you would get paid for the time that you spent answering these questions. What about financial specialists? People that live in a country that stay abreast of the best and cheapest ways to get money into and out of the country, and with lower transaction fees, hassles without getting into any trouble. The application would book calls, same thing, and you could set up appointments based on the time that you want to answer questions. These are just a few examples. Another might be a real estate consultant. You know, I don't recommend real estate till you've lived somewhere for a few years. But a financial expert or real estate, these sorts of experts. These are, as I say, these are just examples I'm throwing out there to see if people would be interested in helping other people. We could set the application up so that you would set the hourly rate, what you wanted to charge per hour or increment of time, and the days you were willing to field calls about what you know. These are just a few of the specialists that come to mind when I was thinking about this concept. I would also be interested in hearing from you about other information you'd be willing to provide to people that you've learned living overseas in Paradise. I'd like to hear from you in the notes below this video. If you think you'd be interested in helping people get through problems you've already overcome moving to Paradise overseas, please type the word specialist in the notes below this YouTube video. Type no thanks if you're not interested in helping others or otherwise think it would be a waste of my time to set this up. If enough people type specialist in the notes below this video, I'll develop an application that will help you help others. Also, feel free to type the name of a new specialty you'd be willing to help others with if you have one in mind that I've not mentioned. Like my hobby income course, if enough of you are interested and type the word specialist in the comments below, I'll create a way for you to offer these services to people that need help and to figure out a way for you to get paid for your valuable time. Why do I do things like this that seem against my self-interest? Someone asked me once, why do you interview people from other channels? What if your readers or what if your subscribers or your audience go to all these channels and they forget about you? I don't really make decisions on necessarily what's best for me. I think one of the reasons my channel remains interesting is because I think more about the viewer, more about my family of viewers and what they need rather than what personally is the best interest in me. So I don't know quite how this would turn out, and this idea of providing a way that other people could help people and make money. But I'm willing to think about it. If you're interested, just type specialist below. This is Dan of Vagabond Awake, the YouTube channel for Vagabond Buddha. The world is your home. What time will you be home for dinner?